Bert the Owl Bat. The sun was setting, a moon was rising, as the brown bats waited for night. When they drop from the ceiling, spread their wings, start squealing, and out of the bat cave take flight. Their wings were aflutter as the night got darker. Their high-pitched sounds grew loud. Young Bert was ready. It was his night to solo. Oh, he was so grown up and proud. He was 2 inches tall, maybe 2.5, but size really didn't matter. Leaving parents behind, he'd soon fly free. 'Twas the whole big world hereafter. It was dark at last as he dropped from his roost and soared out into the night. Past all the pine trees where the other bats lingered, Bert was quickly out of sight. On and on he flew, not a care did he have, eating bugs along the way. Mosquitoes and gnats were what he sought, catching them mid-air till day. Now, bats are not blind, like some people say. They see well both day and night by using their ears instead of their eyes. Echolocation is their sight. With high-pitched sounds they send out ahead that most humans cannot hear. They listen for the echo that bounces back and tells them when something is near. Flying fast was easy for Bert the brown bat. He could pass any bird in flight. He zoomed over deer and bears and possum and all the animals of night. Weary at last, he searched for a cave to shield his eyes from the sun. No cave could he find, but a thicket of trees, and just in time, for day had begun. A perfect tree below, his echo sight said, with branches that were just his size. With wings wrapped around him, he hung upside down and waited for the next moon to rise. But his sleep was cut short. He was jostled with fright when "Who are you?" sounded clear. He unfurled his wings, ready to fly, but the intruder was large and near. Yike! Its eyes felt bigger than Bert's whole body. "Who are you?" it said once more. With his head turned sideways, they stared face to face. Bert was frightened like never before. My name is Bert," he managed to stutter. "I didn't mean to land near your nest. I'm a bat, and I've flown all night, just stopping for a while to rest." Then there was silence. What should he do? Should he try to drop and fly? Would the big bird grab him or snatch him mid-flight? He decided not to try. "You can stay if you like," the creature said at last, "if you're quiet and don't scare my food." "What do you eat?" Bert asked with relief at its much better attitude. "I prefer mice and frogs, but snakes are good too if there's not a better choice." "And what do you eat?" With a body so small, it questioned with a friendlier voice. "Mosquitoes and gnats and other small bugs are my very favorite delight. I may be small, but I do eat a lot. Hundreds of mosquitoes a night. Well, I am an owl. You can call me Ollie, and I will share my tree. There's a hole above that's good for sleeping, but it's a little too small for me." Bert settled into his comfy new home, glad for some much-needed rest. With Ollie below, in a much bigger hole, they slept till the sun set west. Then together they zoomed through the woods at night, playing tag among the trees, capturing food, becoming good friends, and floating when they caught a breeze. Every night was the same. It was their time to play. There were other owls as well, with fluffy, soft feathers of gray, white, and brown, though by moonlight it was hard to tell. But none flew faster than Bert as he circled around his friends in flight. He zipped by so quickly, up and down, back and forth, he was not very long in their sight. Yet Bert was not happy, being a little brown bat. He felt like he didn't fit in. He didn't have wisdom, like the owls claimed to have, or feathers that ruffled in the wind. "I want to be an owl," he told Ollie one day. "Can you help me be beautiful and wise?" "I wouldn't know how," he replied to his sad friend. "Let's ask the wisest owl to advise." And off they flew to find the wisest owl. "Make the very most of what you already have," the wise old owl kindly said. "You can't change who you are, only what you do. So be happy being you instead." But Bert was not happy being himself. He wanted to be an owl. "The first thing to learn is how to sit right side up," he told himself soon after. "Owls don't hang by their feet upside down. It's something I have to master." He tried, and finally sat up, with a branch bracing his back. But as soon as he dozed, his body fell over, and he landed on the ground with a smack. But Bert was determined. He kept trying, and finally sat right side up again. Oh, his head was woozy when he opened his eyes. He couldn't just drop and take flight. His feet were hurting, his backside was sore. Maybe the wise owl was right. Then one morn, as the moon was most gone, and it was time to rest for the day, Ollie saw a toad on the ground below, bouncing along on its way. One last morsel was on his mind as he swooped to capture his prey. With no thought of safety, he never looked up to see the hawk circling that day. He was plucked from the air by those talons so sharp and quickly pulled to the sky. He hollered for help as loud as he could, but the hawk flew fast and high. From inside his tree, Bert heard the scared cry of Ollie calling from afar. He flew back outside and sent out his sounds, his echolocation radar. Signal after signal, again and again, he listened for just the right sound. Then "Help me," he heard. Now he knew the direction, and into the sky he was bound. When echolocation told him he was near to the predator and Ollie in flight, he flew on ahead, then turned face to face to battle with all his might. He was surely no match for the fierce-looking bird, but there was one thing on his side. He landed on its beak right between its eyes and opened his own wings real wide. Hanging on with his claws and the wind at his back, Bert clung to the captor's face, covering its eyes as they flew through the air. The bird quickly changed its pace. "Get away from my eyes!" the angry bird shrieked, shaking its head to and fro. "Then let go of my friend and I'll leave you alone," Bert hollered back. "Let him go." "No, he is mine. Now get off my face or we're all going to crash and die." "I'm not going to leave," Bert said with resolve. "Let go of my friend. Let him fly." The hawk loosed his grip on Ollie at last, but Bert didn't know, couldn't see. "I let your friend go," it screeched into the wind. "Now get off my face. Let me be." Bert pulled in his claws that held him to the bird, flying above it, then soaring back down. Once again he heard Ollie calling his name and flew to the direction of his sound. They got home at last from their scary ordeal, exhausted and ready to rest. With wings wrapped around him, Bert slept upside down. Ollie was safe in his nest. As day changed to night, there was rustling outside of Bert's comfortable hole in the tree. He emerged to find a tree full of owls. It was him they had all come to see. Ollie was there with a feather in his beak that he stuck in the bark of the tree, outside that small space that Bert called home. "It's a special gift from me." Then all of the owls did the very same thing, pulling a feather from their chest, flying over to Bert's door and anchoring it tight over and around his nest. "It's the highest honor an owl can give," said the wisest owl of all. "To share its feathers is a special gift for a friend, whether large or small. You're our friend, a protector, and a model for us to be like you in all our ways, to make the most of who we are each and every day. And so to you, a new name we give, a most unique one at that, befitting indeed for your bravery displayed. You are now Bert the Owl Bat. Let there never be another owl bat in the world, for nowhere could we find a friend who is braver or a heart that is bigger. You are truly one of a kind." Bert no longer felt out of place, surrounded by the owls that night. He could be himself and hang upside down. Yes, the wise owl was right. So if you should go through the woods sometime and happen to look up at the sky, you might see some owls by the light of the moon, and a small dark spot whizzing by. Perhaps it is Ollie, with some of his friends, floating with wings out flat. And this small dark spot, well, it just might be Bert the Owl Bat.
So if you should go through the woods sometime and happen to look at the sky, you might see some owls by the light of the moon and a small dark spot whizzing by. Perhaps it is Ollie with some of his friends, floating with wings out flat. And the small dark spot, well, it just might be Bert the Owl